Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. Today I'm giving you my February TBR. Okay, so this is a very weird angle. I usually don't film in front of my card on the floor for my TBRs and wrap-ups, and I usually like sit on my chair in front of my bookshelf, but I don't have any more batteries left in my phone, and the charger isn't long enough to reach my tripod when it's in the air. So this is the only time I can actually film. So I'm gonna just like roll with this. It's working. It's charging at the same time as I'm filming. So like, we're not gonna complain. It's fine. I've got books behind me and plants. So it's gonna be different, but it's all good. So for February, there's a lot going on. I still have a lot of titles on my TBR. Unfortunately, I won't have time to get to all of those because my TBR is very ambitious and I don't have that much time for myself to read. I have a lot going on with my concert band project at school, so that's taking a lot of my time with music sheet and stuff, but it should go easier by the end of the month. So I'm still hoping I'll get to at least 4 or 5 books for the month of February, even if we do have 2 days less than like other regular months. But I'm still positive. Talking about positivity, as I usually do, I will be participating in the Buzzwordathon hosted by Kayla from Books and Lala. And for the month of February, the buzzword is positive words in the title. That was a hard one to find. I put up my list for the Blackathon, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, mostly, and the books that I'm rolling over into February from January. And I had a really hard time to find a book with a positive word. But I think I finally found one, which is on my e-reader, and it's not the typical book I usually pick up, but I'm going to put it on my list nonetheless. It is A Promised Land by Barack Obama. So I usually read nonfiction by audiobooks, but this one I have on my e-reader, and I'm just going to try to get to it. Yeah, I've heard great things about it. I did read the one from Michelle Obama, so I'm curious to get into Barack Obama's book as well. I really enjoyed the one from Michelle, and I'm very curious to see the other side. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good read. For the Choose Your Own Adventure Readathon, I had a choice between 2 prompts, but I decided to go with the prompt to read a book that has at least 100 pages more than my average page count. So in 2023, the average of my page count for my books was 364 pages, which is not that high considering that I read a lot of fantasy. I did read a lot of manga and graphic novels by the end of the year, so maybe that had to do a little bit to it. Nonetheless, 100 more than 364, that would make it 464, and I have a lot of those that are at least 100 pages over my average page count. So I could pick pretty much anything that I read that is over that, and I have a lot on my list. And I do have one that I'm currently reading. I have been for a couple of months, and it's 468 pages, so that one could be pretty much on point, but I don't know if I'm gonna actually finish it, so we'll see. As I've mentioned before, I am participating in the Blackathon this year again, but I don't think I'm going to be going through all 7 prompts. It's a lot for me to go through, and I have a lot of books I want to get to and not a lot of time. So we'll see how much I can actually get through. So here are the prompts if you are wanting to participate as well. Everything's on Jessie from YouTube's channel that I'll link in the description below if you want to know more about the Readathon. So the first prompt is to read from a Sudanese author, and for that one I am thinking of picking up a book called The Book of Khartoum, a city in short fiction. I'll just put it up here. It is an anthology of 10 short stories, which is not something that I typically read, but I'm really interested in reading many short stories and anthologies like that one. So I thought it would be an easy one to just put in my TBR since it's already very, very big. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it on time though, so I'm going to try to see if I can find it on for my Kobo or order it from my local bookshop, but we shall see. I'll have to do a little bit of research for that one. The second prompt is to read a book with black, green, or red on the cover, which is pretty easy because I do have many of those. Prompt number 3 is to read a book with 2 or more POVs, which is also very easy to achieve. Book number 4 is a 2024 release, which I don't think I'll be able to get to. Prompt number 5 is to read from a Black Book Talk or Bookstagram recommendation. We'll try to look it up, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to be buying any more books unless I find a recommendation that I already own the book. I might do that, but I am going to scroll though and put those books in my list if I have any, but I don't think I'll be able to get to many new books for this month. Prompt number 6 is to read a graphic novel or a comic, and that one I won't be able to achieve either. And prompt number 7 is to read 1 or 2 of the group reads, which is Vagabonds or Bless the Bond. So I'll see if I have time to actually get to them, but I don't have high expectations for that one. So for the rest of my TBR, I've put books from Black authors on my list. I've put books that I'm rolling over from January that I'm rolling into February. And I am also adding my own Robin Hobb books because I'm reading one a month for this year. So it goes as follows. Books I've already started. We have Assassin's Apprentice, which is my Robin Hobb read along. I'm halfway through the first book, so the book for January. I'm going to have to finish that one and then get to a Royal Assassin for the month of February. And Royal Assassin is way bigger than Assassin's Apprentice, so I don't know how I'll be able to manage it, but it's there nonetheless. So if you don't know Robin Hobb's book, it follows Fitz, who is trained as an assassin because he is a bastard, and they are trying to make him into a weapon, and there's a whole lot of political stuff in a war that's coming up, and yeah, there's a lot happening, and it's like 16-ish books broken up in a couple of trilogies. So yeah, it's a whole universe, a whole lot of stuff, and it's really high fantasy and on the lower end of pacing. I am enjoying it, but they're big books, so it takes a lot of time for me to get through them. The next book on my list is There by, I do not remember this author's name because I don't have the book with me and I forgot to note it down, but I'm gonna put it in here. And this one was for the Buzzwordathon in January, so I'm rolling it over into February. And I do not remember what it's about, but I do remember hearing a lot of great things about it, and I know it's from a Native American author, so I don't mind going into it without knowing more than that. But if you have read it, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments. The next book on my list is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is a reread that I tried to reread last year. Didn't finish. I'm on page 132 so far. It is a YA mystery thriller type of book set in the 1920s in New York. And there's this ghost spirit that was awoken by a Ouija board and is killing some people, and they're trying to find out like how to stop the murders and who's responsible and all that stuff. And there's some young people that do have magical abilities as well in there. It is the first of a series. It's really, really good and very creepy for a YA book. I really enjoyed this one. I was trying to read it in order to get to the second book of the series. So yeah, it's not from a Black author though. The next book on my list is A Brief History of 7 Killings by Marlon James. This one I've started actually in last year's Blackathon. I didn't know what Marlon James' writing was. I went into it because it was set in Jamaica, which was one of the prompts for last year's Blackathon. I heard of the name Marlon James, haven't read anything of his. Decided to pick it up because it is about the assassination attempt for Bob Marley. And this is a huge book. I am only 80 pages through. I didn't pick it up for a long time. It's a hard book to get through because it's very violent, very raw, and it's written in a very specific Jamaican vernacular, which I'm not used to. So it takes a little bit more time for me to actually like fully grasp everything that's going on in here. I'm enjoying it. It's rough. It's difficult to read, but I do want to absorb most of it as much as possible. So that's why I was taking my time with it. But I really need to finish it. So we'll see if I actually manage it because it's over 600 pages, 680 pages. It's so huge. So yeah, 600 pages to go. I do remember what happens in the first part. So like, I don't think I'm going to reread it. The writing is quite small as well. It's a really interesting story and I cannot wait to finish it and get to see like where it leads and where everything that I've read so far is going to lead to. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I also have another Marlon James book on my list, which is Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I've had this book on my TBR for so long. I've had it on my reader for maybe 2 years-ish. It's a fantasy, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if it's going to be as tough to read as A Brief History, but we shall see. I don't think I'm going to be able to manage 2 Marlon James books in 1 month, but I'm putting it out there nonetheless. We shall see if I actually get to it, but yeah. I don't remember what it's about though, and that's fine with me. The next book on my list is Hidden Figures, which was the basis of the movie of the same name, and it's set in the 60s with NASA and their mathematicians and the story of these Black girls who made a huge impact on NASA and research and the race to the moon and all that stuff. And it's based off of true stories. And I loved the movie. I tried to start this book once last year and I didn't get to finish it, and I kind of like ran through it without really absorbing and grasping what I was reading, and I did not enjoy that. So I'm gonna start it all over again, but I do want to get to it because I think these women's history is so interesting, and I do hope that I'm gonna learn more things than what I've learned in the movie, and that there's gonna be more to it in the books than the movies. So yeah, really excited for that one. The next book is Dread Nation by Justine Ireland. This is a dystopian-esque type of book, if I'm not mistaken. I've had it on my reader for a very long time. I haven't gotten to it. I'll see what I'm in the mood to read, but a good dystopian, I'm usually really down for that. And I've heard good things all around, so I'm really excited to get to that one. The next book is The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds, and this one is a fiction based off of true story set in the US, but I do not remember what event it covers. But it's more like a contemporary book, not my usual type of book, but I do want to get to it as well. I've been trying to read that one for the last 2 years too, but didn't so far. Hopefully I will have time to get to it this year. Usually contemporary read a little bit quicker than fantasy, so if I want to break a fantasy or a break of Marlon James, I might just pick up that one. And finally, the last book on my TBR is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This is book number 2 of the Broken Earth trilogy. I don't know why I had to look because I keep forgetting the name of this trilogy. But yeah, first book was the 5th season and it was so good. I could not put it down. I loved it so much. It is set in this world where some people who have magical abilities are controlled by the government and they are employed by the government actually, and they have certain rules that they need to follow in order to like control to be controlled so that they don't go out of control. And you follow like 3 point of views. So you follow one point of view of a woman who lost her daughter and was kidnapped by her father. So she's trying to find her daughter. That does have those magical abilities. And then you have a woman that is in training, and you have a woman that is employed for her magical abilities. And it is so good. And the magical stuff, though, it's really like related to like the earth and the environment. And when it's out of control, those powers can like, you can go through its season, and those seasons are actually like the earth will break, and you can go out like years and decades without food, without like water. So they need to be prepared for the next season if it happens, and they're trying to prevent it as much as possible. It's kind of weird, but it makes so much sense when you read it. Trust me, it's so good. N.K. Jemisin is such a good writer. I trust her a lot. So I'm excited to get to book number 2 and see where it's going to go. I do have book number 3 as well. I don't think I'm not going to get to it this month, but I might just like read them back to back. I don't know. I don't think I need to reread the 5th season. I think I'm good getting back into it directly in the Obelisk Gate, but I might want to pick up the 3rd one right after. Hey, it's editing me. I wanted to rectify something because I did forget a book at the time when I was doing my TBR. So I did my TBR for February using my TBR shelf on Goodreads. Every time I buy a new book, I will put it in my want to read list, but as well as my TBR shelf. So I know at all times how many books I have, how many unread books I have on my shelves that I actually bought, as well as my e-readers, so that I know my inventory. And there's a couple of books that weirdly weren't on that shelf. And one of them I forgot, which I am going to put on this TBR. So it is called At Night All Blood is Black by David Diop. And this follows a Senegalese man who's fighting as a so-called chocolate soldier, because that was a thing back then, in the First World War for the French army. And I thought it was an interesting take on World War. I don't typically like those stories that are historical fiction books that evolve around world wars, but this one seemed to have like a very different angle to it, and I was really interested. And it's under 150 pages. I think it's 145, something like that. So I thought it was interesting, and since it's a very small book, and I honestly haven't really heard much about this book on BookTube at all or on Bookstagram, so I thought it would be an interesting add-on to the TBR for this month. So yeah, back to the original video. And that is all for me. So yeah, that's a lot of books for me this month. I don't know how many books I'm gonna be able to go through. Hopefully I'll keep up with my 60 pages per day at least. Most of them are on my e-readers, so I should be able to read more than 60 pages per day because my reader doesn't have like typical real page lengths. It's usually the double of real pages. But yeah, we shall see. Let me know what your February TBR looks like. Are you participating in any readathon this month? I would love to know. Like, comment, subscribe if you wish. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. And I will see you soon in the next one. Bye.